I'm probably most curious about how the hell they peel that volume of soft boiled eggs at those beautiful ramen establishments. Like, that's got to be one of the wonders of the world. Welcome to Kitchen Captain. I'm Ian Walsh, and today we embark on our biggest adventure yet. Take a deep breath, put your seatbelt on as we try our hand at legitimate ramen. Let's go. Okay, phase one for our ramen is gonna be making our kombu dashi and our tare, T-A-R-E. I think I pronounced that right. I probably did not, but that's how you spell it. Okay, step one for our kombu dashi is gonna be 4 quarts of water. We're gonna put 2 seaweed planks, and we'll add a little bit of ice to it. We're gonna let that sit for 8 to 12 hours, and that's gonna flavor our water and create our kombu dashi. Don't need to put it in the fridge. Okay, step 2, phase 1 is our tare, T-A-R-E. Going with a 1/2 cup of low sodium soy sauce. We're a little low tide on that, so we're gonna add some non-low sodium soy sauce. 2 tablespoons of sake, preferably dry. 1 tablespoon of mirin. Give that a little rub down, cover it up, refrigerate that thing. Okay, phase 2 is our pork shoulder and our stock. We just left the bone in because it'll probably help the stock's flavor, and then we'll just work around that. I'm gonna do this a lot smarter and actually lay these little stringies down. Didn't really do that math right, but whatever. That's just gonna help keep it intact because it's gonna slow cook and get pretty damn tender. Probably should have done these a little longer. I probably made that look way harder than it really is. Just tie up your pork. I like to tie my meat before I season it because I kind of fondle it around way too much while tying it, and it kind of rubs whatever seasoning I have all over the place. Now I'm gonna salt and pepper this thing. Now we're gonna brown our pork shoulder on all sides. Every single morsel. Going fat down there to let that render out. While our pork is browning to the next level, we're gonna rough chop all our veggies, starting with about 1 inch length of ginger. Garlic, we're just going right downtown on this thing, right down the middle. Our onion. Does that look like an onion to you? We're gonna do a rough chop. Our green onion is also gonna get that nice rough chop. A lot easier than the old tedious fine chop. Okay, our big plethora of veggies is going in here. Oh God. I guess it's not really losing the whole thing over 1 green onion sprig. Try your best to get it in the pot and not all over your kitchen floor. Okay, now the bulk of the flavor from our stock is going to come from this weird plate right here. We're gonna use pork ribs, the carcass of a spatchcock chicken I just made the other day, the spine of said chicken, and we're going all the damn way in on this ramen adventure, and we're gonna use some chicken feet. As creepy and weird as these little things are, everything I've read about this meal says this is filled with collagen and is actually gonna enhance the flavor profile of our ramen. A little creepy, but flavor. All right, now to our stock, we're gonna add our kombu dashi, which has been sitting for a damn long time. And we're just gonna use enough to cover all of our ingredients in the pot. And don't throw the seaweed in. And reserve a little bit of this because we're gonna use that to fill in the stock as we skim the top off as it cooks. Kick this thing up to a boil, let it roll for a little bit, and then we're gonna kick it down to a simmer for about 3 hours and just let that thing do its job and make a delicious ramen broth. Okay, all good ramen bowls come with a soft boiled egg. In my quest to try to figure out how to make that, I've ruined almost every single egg I've made. And I found if you poke the larger end, so the bottom of the egg, it releases the pressure in the egg while it cooks, and it becomes way easier to peel and doesn't get those weird air bubbles in there when you peel it. So we're gonna try to do that without okay, that was a little rough, but worked. See, just a little poke, a little pokey poke. We're gonna add 1 tablespoon of vinegar to our boiling water. That's just gonna help our eggs. Okay, the weirdest part to this recipe, other than those creepy chicken feet, is this timer setting. We're gonna do these for an exact 6 minutes and 15 seconds. And that's gonna give us that classic soft-boiled egg that you see sliced perfectly in half and placed upon your ramen dish. Okay, for our 3 eggs, we're gonna make their little bath, which is gonna be a 1/2 cup of mirin, 1/4 cup dark soy sauce, 1/4 cup light soy sauce. So I'm gonna add a clove of garlic in there too, and a little dab of chili oil, little 5 dabs. And that's gonna be our egg bath. They're gonna get that nice tan bronzed tint like they're a surfer. Okay, we have about a minute left on our eggs, and it's either too hot or I got a little too spicy with that piercing of the bottom. Maybe not, we'll see. Just cook 3 if you need 1. All right, important step for the eggs is have a little bowl full of ice water ready to move those eggs right out of the boiling water into the ice water to stop the cooking. We're gonna let them sit in there for 2 to 3 minutes, and then we'll peel them in that ice cold bath. Still extremely confident this is gonna work. But that's why you use the vinegar in the boiling water, in case you have a little mistake like myself. Quick stock update. Did anyone start a timer when we put this thing in? Okay, here was our shocker of an egg. I don't know if the water was too hot or what that is, but maybe somebody can comment below and let me know what the hell happened here. So we're gonna take one that looks good with a little hematoma hanging off the side of it. Most tedious thing on earth. I mean, I'm sure those ramen restaurants must have a better theory for this. I mean, this one does look pretty good. Oh, you know what? I have an idea. Spoon. We're gonna get under this thing and dance the skin right off like Hannibal Lecter. A hard-boiled egg, easy to peel. A soft-boiled egg is like a delicate little swan. Come on, little pony. Of all things, I'm probably most curious about how the hell they peel that volume of soft-boiled eggs at those beautiful ramen establishments. Like, that's gotta be one of the wonders of the world. Come on, you stupid egg. Got her. Okay, just learned this trick too. So we have all 3 of our eggs in their little bath. We're gonna fold a paper towel, put that on top of them, and that's gonna absorb all the liquid and weight them down. That way you don't have any buoyant eggs coming up to the surface and having like a white mark on the top. So we want all of these things to look like a bronzed whaler. This can go anywhere from 2 hours to overnight. So here we go, into the fridge. Okay, while our stock is on a nice subtle simmer, we're gonna skim the surface and take the fat off of there. As it gets shallower by reducing while it cooks, we're gonna add a little bit more kombu dashi. That long hog wasn't working. Use a shorter spoon that kind of fits inside of there. Because if the spoon's too long, you're just constantly in a vertical descent. Can't really skim it, you're just plunging it. Learn something new every day. All right, we said this was gonna be an adventure, and holy shit, an adventure it is. We took our stock, cooked it for 3 hours, and then we carefully removed our meat out of there so when we pour it, it didn't splatter right back up into our eyeballs. We strained out everything else that was left in that stock, and we ended up with about 2 quarts of liquid. We found our beautifully ribboned pork shoulder that I removed, wrapped in saran wrap, and then put it in the refrigerator with our 2 quarts of broth. Let that cool overnight, and here we are now. So we got our stock simmering, and we're getting ready to finish this thing off. So let's do the last few steps and take this thing across the finish line. Okay, our pot of broth, we're gonna add our tare, and we're gonna let that get nice and acquainted. And this is ultimately the base of our ramen dish. Before we cook our ramen noodles, we're gonna slice our pork. I went with a bone-in pork shoulder because I had one and I wanted the bone in there for flavor, and now I'm just gonna work my way around that to slice our pieces to garnish our ramen bowls. I don't know why I was holding that pork shoulder like such a jabroni. And cutting this cold is a lot easier to get these solid pieces. When this came out of its 3-hour spa day and the broth, it was like falling apart and really hard to even get it into the saran wrap to wrap up. We're going with fresh noodles. You can get these at your local Asian market or track them down however you can, but they are a lot better than doing the instant noodles. 30 seconds, no salt in the water. Let's do this. I don't feel like this stove has that oomph that those ramen restaurants have with a flame about that big hitting their boiling water. Might be a little more than 30 seconds. I mean, what's 30 seconds in the grand scheme of this goddamn mission we've been on to make ramen? Okay, our noodles are done. Get these things out as best we can without taking half this pot. Oh, that was risky, but we made it. Now the delicate art of building your ramen bowl. I'm gonna take a few pork slices and we're gonna put those in before we add our broth because the broth is gonna reheat those things really quickly. Okay, we have one of our nice little eggs, good and bronzed. Relatively nervous about this, I wouldn't say very. Oh, hello, little ramen egg. We added some slices of seaweed, we added some green onion, and we added some bamboo shoots. So along with the pork and the egg, that's kind of the whole dance. Looks beautiful. Only took about 2 weeks, but here we are. Okay, let's see what we did right or we did wrong. The ramen adventure. That's so hot. That just burnt my entire mouth. I can't even tell if that's good or not. Gotta give that a second. That just scorched. Top, bottom, sides. I'll come back. We'll come back from that. It's just a little adversity. Just a little mouth burn. Honestly, couldn't even tell what we were working with. That was so damn hot. That's good. That is really good. Tastes like shoyu ramen. At some point, we're gonna have a meal that just sucks, and this sure as hell ain't it. The broth is so good. Let me just get in there and just do a little dance with this broth. I'm definitely not a ramen connoisseur, but this is pretty good. Let's try one of our little eggs. Slippery little guy. Really good. See, we got like a jello-like yolk. Next up, pork. Can barely pick the thing up with a chopstick. Definitely excited to add this to the arsenal. There you go, homemade ramen. Definitely took a little bit longer than the instant noodles, but I think the lesson we learned here was don't be intimidated when you see a recipe that calls for a million different phases. I think this was well worth it, and I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thanks for watching. That's so good, though.